Computer. Lights.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm noticing some jerkiness on the screen here, and I was noticing some rough transmission things going, and I'm noticing that my bars are yellow. So we may have rough intermittent show today. We'll see. Hope not. Certainly hope not. So good morning, Brent. I don't know whether you're seeing the same intermittent broadcast issues that I'm seeing, so we'll see. It still says yellowish up there on the transmission thing. Now it's green. All is good. Everything's forgiven. All right. So last night on Geek Tank, I discovered a random ship generator. And then I discovered that you can download the random ships. And I think that was probably the most destructive thing that's ever happened to my free time. Maybe I'm also at this moment synchronizing with Nandaskan's servers. So I've got literally terabytes of data that I'm putting up into the cloud at the moment. So it could be that. It could also be that I'm putting terabytes of data up onto the cloud and hogging a lot of my own personal bandwidth here. So we'll see. Anyway, so I discovered that I can make random ships with a random ship generator. So I actually started doing that very thing. Some of these ships are kick butt. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on ahead and use this as a basis for just random ships in the background, because literally it's a random ship generator. So they look cool. I'm like, oh, that looks nifty. So I'll just do that, and that works. So, and then I will just make a note somewhere along the line that I used shipwright.com to build starships that show up in the background and just let them be. And it doesn't matter. As long as they're not heroes, I don't feel so bad. Nope. Hero ships, I feel like, should still be designed by me. And these would be just other ships in orbit, or ships tootling around the space stations, or other, and they'll need some work. There are no engines on this that fit my universe, so I'll have to put engines on there. And there are no gravity sails or anything like that. So, we'll have to make them look somewhat nominal. They'll have to make them look Bellatrixy. Okay. So, but that's not what we're doing today. This is not what we're doing today. Today, we're working on the bridge. It's like, do you want to save this blank scene? What about this blank scene? Yeah, trash hauler. Short trips to the sun. It's like, doodly-doo, trash, sun. That actually could be kind of cool. Now that I think about it, that'd be kind of nifty, the trash hauler, Good job. Good job. My wife actually closed the garage door. Okay, this guy needs to be, this is a straight up thing. It really is. It's very straight up. Straight up. The only part of the bridge floor that you actually can see is right this part. We'll actually do this. There we go. And this is the important part. The rest of this can be made extraordinarily small and stuck in one corner. Because that's the side and the bottom. And we never see anything but the top. So we'll scale that up and maybe even rotate it so that we can use up as much space as possible. Maximize the space we can use here. Because in the end, the bridge floor is going to be one of those things where well, yeah, but I think with the crawler drives, it won't be that big of a deal. Last night, I was trying to kind of figure out what to do with. I have a dictation software on my phone. And so what I've been hoping to do is use the dictation software when I'm driving or something like that, where I can talk out the stories in my head or talk them out in sort of a way that, that way I don't use up a lot of all the kind of wasted time. Because I mean, like nowadays I've got a bunch of time where I'm driving to or from a photo shoot. I've got a photo shoot next week, which is I have a photo shoot actually on Thursday. So there will be no show on Thursday. I need to remind everybody. But I'm going to a photo shoot, so it's not bad. It's not a boo. It's just what it is. So Thursday there will be no show because I'm going to go to a photo shoot. But the photo shoots are like out in the middle of nowhere always, because typical of my specific realtor likes those things. So and there's nothing wrong with that, but there are a lot of times where I have 45 minutes or an hour before I'm at a location. And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm like, I need dictation software so I can just stick my phone like right on the dashboard there and then say, back in 1400 years after the fall of the empire of, whatever. Because there's so much story that I've been thinking up that I need to like put it down on paper. And so this dictation software is cool. I was working on it last night, just testing it out. Because the biggest problem I'm having right now with dictation software is I'll go, so the beginning of the ooh, and then I'll look and it goes, so the beginning of the ooh, and I'm like all fascinated by, like, I'm having this feedback problem. I almost have to put the phone down away from being able to look at it, because if I look at it, I get all caught up in its writing and of course whether it wrote it correctly or not. So it's kind of frustrating. Anyway, so there's that. I'm going to export as a wavefront object, limit to selection only. In this case, we're going to call this the bridge floor. And it's okay if we have a few of these. Edit mode, there we go. We'll zoom in as much as possible here. Now, this never fired off. So Clip Studio still needs to fire off the main Clip Studio. Here we go. I'm not sure about this. This looks fishy to me. Just saying. All right. Bing. Grab it from right here. We'll paste it in. And we'll do this. It always worries me just a little bit when it doesn't fit perfectly. I'm like, because how off is it? You know? Is it super off? Is it super on? Does anybody know? You know, what the heck is going on here? All right. It looks fishy, but it smells like Teen Spirit. Okay. Easily entertained. New raster layer goes there. We'll duplicate this layer and put it here. Let's do the floor. Right. Bork. Okay, so we're just going to go through here. We're going to do what we've done before. This time, though, I'm just going to go on ahead and do one half of it at first, and then duplicate that and just merge that over into the other half. That way I don't have to worry about it. We're going to take our curve tool. We're going to go in here, and we're just going to take you to you, and then we're going to push back like so, and that's going to be our curve, right? Same thing here, you to you, and we'll push back until we're like at the point of the curve there. And then it makes it just a little easier. We'll go from you to, I guess, I don't know, you, maybe, yeah. I don't know. There. That just rounds it off a little, makes it a little nicer. And fill that in there. We already know that this is like, you know, part of the front of the hold of the ship. Right? We'll go through here. We'll go through like this. I'm just going to fill this in. And that way it doesn't really look, you know, because like all of this now is just all black. And that's okay. Whatever real estate we have out here, it's all good. We'll just use this. There. And it's like just a hair right there. All right. And this guy needs just a little bit of curve. Not though a whole lot. Just enough that when I get into this line back here, it's not so big of a deal. There we go. Just like that. I'll go all the way to the after section here. This is what worries me right through there. Excuse me. We're still going to be coughing. All right. So the reason that I did that specifically, I'm just going to do it like that there. It gives it sort of a, doesn't matter what happens on the outside, just what's happening on the inside. So it doesn't matter whether I go over the edge or not, since it's sort of put both ways here, we can just duplicate this layer. And then we're just going to take it. And this is going to be kind of difficult because we've got to go both directions on this one. So we're going to transform and flip horizontal. And that allows us to rotate it like so. Which, we've got to kind of figure out all of our rotations here. There we go. Now, if you recall how the bridge works, there is an exit door here, and there's an exit door here, and then the bathroom is in here. So it's actually much more important that this side have a corner on it than this side, because this is in a black area over here. So that's why I'm not as worried about that right side. Yes, let's apply that transformation. I just want to make sure it's lined up. Yep, looks good. Okay. Now we're just going to merge those two together. And that way I didn't have to do all of it at the same time. Okay, so next thing we want to do is take a look at just how the bridge looks from the top down, right? So we're going to take this guy. We're going to take the other shell off. Right? So we just have the shoe. Man, really? Like, you need to be there. Just be there, okay? Just be there. Okay, just do it. Just do it. Okay. We don't need to worry about this guy anymore, so we'll just move him out of the way. Now we're just looking at this. This is just going to tell us what's the footprint of things on here, right? Because this has got all these different pieces, and it's going to be hard to read. The sandal. Okay, Brent, meet me at the sandal. This is his name, Brock Twinkle. Oh, gosh, I can't remember. God, that was funny. That was really freaking funny. I loved that. That was probably one of my favorite Geek Tanks last night. Okay, we're gonna paste this in. Twinkle Fuzzle. I don't remember anymore, but it was funny as all get out. All right. I'm going to turn this so that we're lined up. Resize. Gosh, that was good, though. That was a good show. Okay. Now we're going to try to get this to fit. There. Okay. The reason we're doing this is because we want the black lines to show through, but we actually kind of want this. Maybe we don't want that. I don't know. Let's see. Kind of hard to see what's going on here. Darken. There we go. Now we're going to zoom in here. We're off just a little bit on these lines. That's not such a big deal. Okay. Now I know where the bathroom is. There's a bathroom on the right. No, we're on the wrong layer. Get on the right layer. Get on the right layer. The bathroom back here. Which goes all the way to here. And goes forward to here. All right. Then we're going to take this curve tool. Go like this. If nothing else, to just kind of give an outline to where all of this stuff goes so that it looks smooth on the ground, right? This is part of the sort of the illusion that we use to kind of create that feel that this is rounder than it is. Because a lot of these 3D models, like the background here, that back plate, it's obviously got facets. I mean, it's not that high resolution, which was intentional. I don't want to spend a lot of processor time trying to process super high resolution things unless I absolutely have to. It takes a lot of time, effort, and it makes everything run really slow. And the point behind this is we're spending a lot of prep time so that production time on this doesn't take any time. So the whole point is we're putting a lot of effort in the front end, but years and years and years of comics can be built off of this. So I'll be doing, so we've spent like 2 years on the build phase, but we're going to spend 10 or 15 on the writing phase. And so the whole point here is that we've got a lot of time we're devoting to this that is fine. Okay, I like when the floor matches the ceiling in some strategic sort of way. So we're going to take a polygon circle. I'm going to add a raster layer. We're going to kind of make something that is at least sort of mimics the ground area that it's underneath, that's above it. So the captain's chair is right here. And we have this beautiful overhang right here. But I like the idea that at least the the graphics on the ground semi-match what's happening above it. Right, so we're going to do this. And get back to our line tool. We're going to bring that line down to a 7 because we now have way too much going on here. Do that. And actually, I think I can do sort of a straight back thing like that. And these are just graphics on the floor. I just like the idea that the graphics sort of match and sort of mimic the ceiling above it. You know, it just looks kind of cool that way. Because really, we're just going to do the same exact things we've done before. The other thing we want to make sure we have is some kind of floor warning of some sort that says, hey, watch out. There's a strut here. Right? Yes, there is. Even if that's just it's OSHA. We're just doing OSHA here, man. We don't want to be an OSHA violation like Star Wars is all the time. I mean, really, Star Wars is an epic OSHA violation all the freaking time. All right. There's going to be a stairwell. It comes down to here-ish. We're going to have to fix that in at some point. We don't have it yet. We'll get there. A lot of the little pieces that we're about to put in, they're going to be pretty easy to do in one shots. The biggest problem is going to be seats and chairs for the bridge. That's our next major movement of things we got to do here. Okay. Now that I've done that, I'm going to turn off all these backgrounds and just take a look at it as it stands. We're going to clearly need a lot of different issue things going on here. So we're going to go on ahead and merge those two together. This is all now one unit. We're going to do another circle. So I kind of want to turn the background back on because I need to see kind of where it goes. Kind of want it to go right here. Okay. This is the tactical hollow pod piece. And that goes in here. Now we can turn this off. Oops. Let's get you. All right. Now here forward, we put a single line that goes like that. We never do single lines going straight in this, do we? It always must do some jig. And that's sort of part of the design style. There we go. It's probably actually right where the staircase comes down. So maybe I've got to stop putting stuff in the middle of things. Actually, I feel like this might be a perfect place for the helm to sit. Might be a good place there. Because that's right there towards that after section of the spoke that comes back. So the back spoke piece can hold the computer consoles. Because you know that a lot of things in this world are holographic, but not at superluminal speeds. So we have to take the holograms out when we're at superluminal speeds. There we go. Much better. They have a little rack of things, like just various storage things there, and it was just this far towards my knee, and it kept pressing into my knee, and I kept thinking this actually is uncomfortable, and remarkably so. Okay, so this will be the other station point. Actually, I wonder if I can post in another and just do this is where seats sit, so that you now know where seats sit and stuff. Let's get that lined up correctly. There we go. All right. Maybe one more. It looks like a basketball court. It's on a little way. That's all right. We'll get there. There we go. Should we have a first officer seat? I guess we should. An XO. As much as I absolutely adore Star Trek, the truth is that probably in reality, our bridges of starships would probably move down the line from more like our current Navy destroyers than they would anything else. I mean, more than you'd think that it would be than for. Well, let's see. What does. Let's see what an aircraft carrier bridge layout looks like. Yeah. So kind of looking at where the aircraft carrier's layout is, kind of have this. The central workstation, navigation, a backup navigation, charting, radar, the bridge wings stuff's the main station. So it's really not that. A different navigating bridge from downstairs and stuff like that. So looks like it's a nah. Yeah. It's almost in the center of the ship. It's on the bridge deck. I mean, it is. That's actually the name of this deck, is the bridge deck. So, and they're after of the bridge. Well, that's the thing, right? So the flight controls are all actually in the pilot house in the front, unless, I mean, like normal space operations would be here, but while in warp speed, so to speak, everything's in the pilot house up front. And there's a map room and pilot house there. Let's bring up the deck plans because I can show you what we've got going on this one. Yep, not there. Right? So if we bring up the deck plans, you can see that we've got kind of the bridge is right here, right? And then forward of this is just offices. And then the map room, situation room, and conference rooms are after, right? With the captain's quarters here. Then there's a forward observation deck that sits up here, but you got it. Pilot house is next up, right? Because that's way down here on deck 1, and that's this section right up here. But that's got a radio room and an in-space chart room back up here. So that's all got to be like dealt with up there. So that's how this works. So that's. But scene 1 is on the bridge. Scene 2 is in the pilot house. So you're right. Next one up is. But yeah, CNC is. I mean, if you want to call the main bridge or CNC, it's here. It's on these two deck pieces right there. But I also feel like the bridge is this open, expansive space where lots of our like main activities are going to happen. they're all going to be standing on the bridge and going, "What should we do, Bob? I don't know, Tim. Let's think about," they're going to yammer a lot on the bridge. There's going to be a lot of things going on. The pilot house is like two cockpit chairs sitting next to each other with a large open space in front with windows. Though complicated, and it is going to be difficult, it's not going to be like as big of a deal, right? But yeah, we've got to kind of do a little of all of these things. And the radio room, which a lot of this is just going to be, I'm going to make a wall console unit, and we're just going to stick wall console units in a lot of things so that you have sort of a desk which you push buttons, a screen thing which has screens, and an overlaying screen thing which has other screens. And that's going to be sort of a standard console, and that'll be what you'll see in the radio room and the navigation control room. So all we have to do is put up walls and then put the consoles in and a chair. Once we get enough assets together, we can start just throwing parts of the ship together pretty easily. And we already have chairs, we already have tables, things like that. So when we finally get to the point where we need a set, it gets to the point where it gets a whole lot easier. We just go into a DAZ studio and start pulling assets together and stacking them. And then all we have to do is redraw a wall or redraw, part of a scene. Most of the stuff is not going to be that complicated. So go for the bridge. Let's get some parts in here correctly. We'll do this. And then we can take this and we can cut it and move it. So yeah, this only takes a lot of time because it's the beginning of this project. As we get more assets in and things like that, it's going to be a whole lot easier. You get a whole bunch of parts that are going with it. And then make sure it's right. Yeah, Pilot House is going to be fun, though. I've been kind of struggling with a Pilot House in my sketchbook a lot. The primary reason I'm having a problem with Pilot House is that it's I need to figure out what the physical buttons will look like. As far as control systems, not that big of a deal, but it is kind of like difficult to perceive some of the things that we're doing with the Pilot House. So it's, I don't know, I'm having problems with it. Because I'm thinking through some of this stuff. 3 stations, really? I know we have a pilot co-pilot sort of setup, or backup pilot, or whatever we want to call that. So what's your third station? out there on the pilot house of the pilot. And an engineering station. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. Sort of. We've been talking about the fact that this is kind of aircraftian. So that makes a lot of sense that we would have a flight engineer. Right? All right. I'm liking this. This looks pretty good, pretty solid. Okay. So we will. Oh, what we don't have is any of the little three thingies. Let's do some three thingies. I don't even really know what they're called. I call them three thingies. Design choices that I've got. Weird little design choices that I do. Perfect. All right. The bridge has a ton of, no, these are metal of some sort. Metallic. Save as. And we will say bridge floor. And then we will assume we will see a lot of these. Do we not have? We don't. Okay. Daz Studio. Fire off Daz Studio. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait. We'll see. Over Macho Grande? No, I don't think I'll ever get over Macho Grande. We're waiting for Daz Studio to load. All right, we'll load recent bridge. Right, and then we will say import. Now, the truth of the matter is, I really didn't necessarily need bridge floor and scale it 3000%. There we go. Really didn't need to make a floor in here in 3D. because I could have just as easily taken this surfaces, bridge floor, diffuse, browse, bridge floor, right? We could have just as easily taken this guy and had him do just fine. That brushed metal look, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. All right, now we'll take a perspective view and we'll look at it from here. Okay. Now we're looking much more like it. Look at that. The sandal looks like a sandal. Isn't that nice? And this guy needs to be back a small amount, like so, and over, like so. And maybe, I don't know whether we're... Interesting. I mean, like, not a showstopper, but definitely... Let's take a look here. Let's take a right view, so we're directly right. And this is important because this will also help us line up things. Like these two should be aligned square, regardless of what my floor says. This guy should be connected right at floor level. And this is kind of important because we haven't scaled this yet to a human. So we don't actually know when I import a human maquette, is the maquette going to even be on the right setup? Is there anything? We don't know. But there we go. We have the first operating prototype of the bridge. And when standing on it, you're going to look right here. And there we go. It does look kind of cool. We hit render. It's going to think it out. It's probably going to render it in iRay. Why would you do that? Render settings. 3 delight. Okay, good. General, custom. Let's just make it for right now the active viewport. Temporarily. Right, until we've figured out stuff. There we go. We can hit render, and that's pretty much what it's going to look like. Look at that. Doing good. Doing good. Alrighty. I feel like this guy should be moved over. Nope, it doesn't get moved over. Gotcha. Yeah, it's looking great. Looking good. Looking solid. Now we need to make sure it's all sized correctly. So, content library. I'm going to go to Bellatrix Rising. And we'll put Chang on here. And we'll now size it correctly because now she's a giant. And we all know that in reality, Chang is just not a giant. So left view. Okay. And Chang is actually at At 1 point something meters. You know what? I can do this. I could do this the easy way, or I can do this the hard way, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay, new primitive. If we go in here and we make a cube and we say 1 meter by 1 meter and accept it, then we have a 1 meter cube, which will tell us what 1 meter looks like. That's 1 meter. So we know that each deck is 3 meters high, right? So we can then take you and we can say duplicate node, and we'll go, we take you and we go like so. It's 2 meters. Duplicate node, and that's 3 meters right there. So we take you now and we say bigger until you're about there. Perfect. And that's going to be at 99. Golly. Right there. That makes about good sense there. It's about 10,000% for everything, which makes all of these pieces understandably the right size. There we go. And we can put Ching. Well, no, she's going to be in the right spot. So let's go on ahead and also do the important thing of not that. Ship sinking. Okay. Let's do minus 180. Do that for every one of these two. No. Green. Okay. Now from the top view, we can now pull back quite a bit. And let's start putting the bridge back together again. Okay, so we'll take the floor and move it to, because we want people to materialize on the bridge like here-ish. Everything lines up. There we go. Now when we're in perspective view, we can see Chang standing on the bridge like she's supposed to. And the maquettes fit properly. And now you have a much more reasonable, although this guy probably should be down. So that, yeah, that's exact. There we go. See you in a few. Now we have Chang on the bridge. And if we take and we use a new camera, accept it, take the camera, and we go back a little and we come up here. We can take the camera, we'll go to break here in just a second. Take the camera and take its focal length and make it 35, which is the standard focal length for a movie camera. Now the bridge feels and looks like a large set. See how that worked? Look at that. That is how we make this work. All right. I feel good. Because now it does look like some shipboard doodly wop. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I gotta stand up now, guys. I gotta stand up. Stand up. Come over here and stretch. You want to stretch with me? Come on, George. Stretch. Want to stretch with me? Let's stretch. Stretch the cat. Let's stretch the cat. I don't know if you need any more stretching, though. I mean, legitimately, you're already kind of a stretched out cat. You know that? You have water on your nose. You're such a goober. Goo. Here we go. Did you know you have water on your nose, you little goofball? All right. Let's roll our neck. Oh, man. Oh, we'll try to pop her back here. Shake our legs out. All right. Now let's take a quick render of this. Let's take a look at what we've got. Right? Like, what does this look like legitimately? It looks pretty good. Now, if I were to take and say widescreen to this guy, it's hard to kind of get a good grasp of this unless you were wider with the actual scene. But from here, now we can actually take a look at it. And that looks a lot more like a widescreen view of it. So there we go. There we go, guys. Alrighty. So what we've generated here is the first of many designs to show sort of what's going on here. Now we may want to fix stuff like, how much of this is not, like, does it overlap any? Can we make it overlap and make it work? I feel like that's probably better. And this is just fussing with it to get it to be straight. from the top view, I can definitely see some layout issues that I kind of want to work on. Right, kind of straighten out a little bit of these layout issues here. Like, actually, I kind of like this side here just fine. So, left view. Let's go for the other side, which kind of needs to line up much the same way. There we go. There we go. Now I can turn it off into normal texture shaded. So one of the things that happens a lot is that with texture, cartoon shaded does, wow, actually kind of looks pretty cool. One of the things that we kind of want to do here is we're going to go on ahead and take this back wall structure, and we're going to go ahead and just tie everything to it, right? And then that way the bridge moves as one unit from this point forward, right? So now it's tied to it. So when I move the bridge, the entire bridge moves. We got some small housekeeping things we need to do, but nothing major. We've got to finish the shell. So this shell has to be done next, but that's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing we just did. I'm going to check over here. Project we're doing. That looks good. All looks wonderful. Okay. So let's work the shell. This is our next big project. I think I'm going to put it in non-naked mode. I'm going to look at it this way. Raise this part of the shell because we really don't need the other one. And then I'm going to go through and go into edit mode and this. And we're going to just say shift. We're going to kind of do this number. And that should give us everything but the outside in theory. And no edges. There we go. Welcome back to the stage of history. All right. For the shell, the only real important part is this inside. The outside's not important or relevant. So we're going to make sure we've captured all of the pieces on the inside of the shell. So I put it in non-naked mode because that doesn't allow me to select the back end of it, which is exactly what we're looking for. We're going to hit a complete side view here, like so. And we're going to say UV project from view. that gives us a projection that sort of works. It's a little bit off, but it sort of works, right? So that's the other kind of part of this, right? We want to kind of make this so that it's readable. When I do I want to be able to project something around this shell. So we've got to kind of figure out how to do this in a weird way. So I'm going to actually do a cylinder projection, which didn't work like I wanted it to. Because then it does that. Like, you're not helping. You're just not helping. What probably will be best is for me to take the after section like this all the way up to here, not you, and say project from view, right? That'll give us these. And then we can take and kind of rotate it like so. Well, that shell actually looks like it might be still viable, like through here. Right, so if I were to take from this side here and say project from view, all of these guys are probably still pretty okay. We've got to remember that what I'm about to do is try to put hexagons on here. So the less confusing this is in a flattened out world, the better. Right. Nope. There we go. And we'll say project from view. We'll take these guys and move them over here. All right. Now when we deal with this guy, we've got all of this weirdness, which kind of goes up here. And we've got this, which I'm going to kind of try to put like right here. Now, whatever I do with this design right here is going to end up, okay, really, we've got a missing poly. You, right? Seriously? Okay. Because one of the other things we got to do is this guy up here is really like brutally weird. So maybe what we need to do is sort of do a project from view like that. So that he's kind of more like so. Now when we do all of him, all of me, why not take all of me? Okay. There we go. We'll get this out of the way. Right. All of this really is just stuff. I can probably do this and go and say all of you need to be shrunk. And then moved over here. And I have a feeling this isn't going to look as good as I want it to. I have a feeling that I've already screwed it up. Because I did. This actually is part of this part right here. I'm not even really sure what some of this stuff is or what it is or where it came from. And that always worries me a little because whenever I can't tell right away where stuff came from, I have a feeling I'm about to really screw it up. Okay. I'm going to spend some quality time here getting this straightened out. So first things first, we can scale it up so that it takes up all the space. Okay. The next thing's next. Let's go on ahead and just push this to one side. We're going to go on ahead and try to do things with this that makes some sense. For example, we can take these guys and kind of map them to here. We do kind of need to first make sure that all of this section is scaled properly. So we want it to be to this line up here. And the problem, of course, is that resize is always from center, which means that you have to resize, then go, nope, we went too far, and haul it back a little, then move it again and go, nope, we went too, you get the idea. Because as long as this size is roughly correct, then when we move these guys, we're going to move them to here. We're going to take these guys and move them to right here. And these guys go right here. And these guys go right here. And what this has allowed us to do is, to some degree, give a little bit more actual space that it needs. So we're kind of taking that front piece, which is bent, and we're bending it back out straight, but we're having to guess a little bit as to what that means. So we know that in the end, this front piece is going to have to be here, right? So we're going to move this guy to out here, because we now know that in the end, this front part of the nose piece is going to end up being totally straight. So we take these guys and move them like so. And we're going to have to split the difference between these two. Right, and then we'll kind of bring this a little forward too, just to kind of make it not so abrupt. We know that this front piece is starting to shift around and ultimately makes a 90-degree turn right up here. And these guys were done at a different angle. So we're going to have to figure out what angle it was done in. And I don't know, I guess I like making my life overly complicated. I'm not sure. There we go. With these guys, I feel like we've got to kind of come up with a home for them. But first, I need to deal with what angle is correct here for this, and I'm having a problem with that, right? Because like trying to think it through, I'm like, sort of things. See if that's a message. Hang on real quick. So we're going to do this, and we're going to go back through, and I really kind of want to it's my stepmom who is okay. So this up here needs to be okay. So this needs to be in alignment with that, I guess. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. Okay, we're gonna go back in here, grab this guy. It looks like we've grabbed one too many polys for it too. So let's go back in and just make sure we only grab the internal facing polys. So we want you, 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 you. I'm worried that maybe part of our problem is that we have outside facing polys. Yeah, they look like they collide with one another. So we may need to go on and do a quick fix on this. Okay. My stepmom is a character. Okay, so what we have here is we have a slightly overlapping issue up here. So we have polys that are on top of one another. So we're going to fix that because we've got some polys that look like they're going on top of here. So we're gonna, because this definitely looks like it's crisscrossed, right? He should be going the other direction. So part of this is that we will oh man, we gotta get this guy out of here. Let's take a look. because he's really messed up in this zone. And he's going the wrong direction all the way across. There we go. So he needs to just be straightened out. And it's not just him. It looks like the entire array is a little binked. So we'll bring that guy down, which is all right. This is perfect time for us to discover this. And this guy probably can go like so. So we've got an edge. We're just looking for an edge on the shell, right? We're looking for a ghost. Where's the ghost in this shell? Okay, we'll pull. We only need one. There we go. Pull him down or over or out. Figure it out here. Make sure you are, wow, you hold like 5 different points in the same spot here. It's kind of rough. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Okay, so looking at this, just pulling that down, I see a difference in the color, which is fine. I can do that and it'll be fine. Okay, good. So we'll just move him until he's lined up like so. And we just need to kind of straighten out a lot of this design is kind of, we've got kind of some roughness going on here. Especially along this lip. The lip of the shell here just doesn't need to be quite so wild. And I think part of this is why we're getting kind of weird shapes like this one. Because if it was straightened out more like this, we'd be fine. There we go. Much better. Okay, take you and put you like right here. And you look fine. Take both of you guys and drop you down just a hair. Gives you a little bit more definition. We're just doing some minor fussing with this because we had a little bit of we just had some strange sort of shapes going for us. That's all. Just didn't want to have that be too strange. Okay. Looks like the shell is mostly okay again. Everything looks pretty clean. I do want to also kind of talk a little bit about this back piece, which doesn't actually, now that we're here, let's do this. Because all of the shell is going to be behind or underneath rather that center piece. It's all going to be underneath it. So nobody will see if it kind of cuts a little short because that center piece is going to be on top of it. So it really isn't that critical that it matches that. But it is a little bit more critical that it covers everything in that back window. Make sure this is all straight. That's exactly what we want. Make sure all of these guys are straight. That's not straight. Let's get this straight. There we go. Just like that. That way the shells will fit next to each other. That once I flip that one around and bring it in, it'll snap onto the other shell just fine. All right, moving out here. This is a little weird right there. Move that in just a little bit. It can start to kind of bring around sort of this rounded piece in the back here. And we actually should probably just go on ahead and delete that other shell because that other shell is now completely inaccurate. And in the way. There we go. So now we've got we go kind of like this and look through the shell here. And you see this guy needs to be kind of pushed in a little. We're rounding it off. So it's not quite so spiky. So I'm just looking as we go sort of around the dome, sort of like this. See how it kind of divots in over here. So I'm going to bring this guy in just a little. We're going to just bring through. It's okay if it gets a little spiky, like here's a little strange. So maybe I will reverse this and pull this out. Or no, up, probably up. There we go. So it's not quite so bad. There we go. We get a little bit of a spike here where it kind of does this. So kind of straighten that out just a hair like so. And that's kind of what we're looking for right there. All right. That took a lot of effort. Okay, so. But now that we've done that, we should be able to, in theory, everything should be predictable at this point, in theory. I'm going to put it back on face mode and intentionally keep it sort of on this. I'm going to do this number here like so. We're really only going to do this part like that. Okay, this part we know isn't weird shaped, right? So this guy can be just one unit like that, and it actually is fine. We can project it from here, and just to make sure that we're going to make sure that it has this bump like we have elsewhere. I'm going to project from view. I'm going to start here. Okay. The front pieces, though, are going to be a little harder because we're going to want to make sure we have them lined up like this. We do kind of want sort of this view, right? We actually kind of want to start kind of looking at it like this. So we can say project from view, and we get kind of that effect, which is fine. We'll put you over here. Now what we need to do is figure out these guys. In order to kind of make this work, we really, really do not want you, this upper edge. Now you, we probably want to do from below, like so. We can say from here, project from view. That gives us this. At this point in time, we have all the pieces of the shell that we really want to see. And that's what makes me worried. Look at that. We've got that. And I don't know what that means. I'm doing some thinking here, if you're wondering what the pause was. Trying to think it out. Because we've got all the pieces, in theory, that we need. We should see this be a matching fit here. Boy, it smells and feels like spring outside. It's very strange. I don't know what to do about that other than be very afraid. Okay, sorry to bring this up like so. And take you. Just rotate you just a little bit back like this. We're taking a lot of extra time with this for a reason. There will be, I'm going to be putting hexagons up there. And if we don't do this right, the hexagons are going to not align across seams. So I've got to be very, very careful how I get to the seams, how I make the seams work, and whether the seams are flattened enough that it can sort of follow like it's supposed to, which is kind of why we're doing all of this. And as long as all the points sort of touch each other correctly, we should be fine. I wish there was a way to go the other direction. So from the map side, select a face like that and have it come back over here. But that's not the way it works. So I can't see what those three faces are. Okay, we've done all of these guys sort of like this. We're gonna rotate it and see what kind of space I can use up here. It really doesn't help to turn it. I keep thinking it will every time, and it really doesn't. Okay. Now we're going to go over here. I'm going to start looking at how these guys all sort of touch and figure some of this out. Like, how much distortion do I want? Right now, if we look at just this section right here, these points touch each other in the actual design. So the question really is, how much of this do I want to, move this guy up and move this guy down till they touch each other? Is that what I want to do? Sort of thing. It's not going to be so bad here. the distortion won't be as rough. To make those two go together. And like here is just not going to be difficult at all. But once we get a little further out, like here, we're going to be quite a ways up, quite a ways down. Right, like so. And then when we get to here, it really gets rough. But we're going to have to kind of come up anyway for this, so... I feel like this is not the thing to do with the pin. Okay. At this point, we've kind of gone here. And kind of like that, and we're good. That's a noise that it makes. Okay. Now let's start looking at these guys and kind of zipping them together too. We'll do the same logic. We'll kind of pull them together like so. And sort of do the halfway here, halfway here sort of thing. And kind of move it so that it's halfway. You know what I mean? Like a little less than halfway there, and we'll just do a little bit more push this way, sort of make it fit a little bit better. Right, so we'll come along here like so, and we'll sort of push along here, and then we'll go about halfway out to about here. That's correct. Or is this? It might be this. So halfway is a little bit more rough at this point in time. Right? Because we're not... And this guy has a long way to go to get halfway. Because now he's 3 points sort of on here. So we've either got to decide that he's going all the way to here to meet that, or, you know, how far do we go for this? And first of all, I feel like this needs to be raised quite a bit anyway. Because these guys probably have to be like somewhat like this. So, harder than it looks. Okay. So we're getting kind of closer to what we think that inner shell should look like. It's more like that. And there's just nothing I'm going to be able to do about the fact that there is a seam that's going to run across that middle piece right there. So, I mean, short of breaking it and moving and stretching out this seam right here, which probably would be worse than it should be. So no matter what, that seam's going to kind of head up there. You know what I mean? There. So that's going to be our shell. Hopefully. Hopefully there's nothing weird or missing. So we're going to take this guy and we're going to export OBJ. And we're going to make sure the selection only. We're going to call it bridge shell. Okay. With that, go into edit mode. And grab as big a picture of this as we can. All right, just like so. And we'll come in here and we'll just paste it onto the floor piece because really it's not that big of a deal. We'll turn off all of those pieces and we'll just drop it below there. And we'll go ahead and extend it out all the way. That's hard to do. There we go. Hit OK. And we'll come up here, we'll add a new layer. We're going to take a look at this and see what we got. Okay, so on our new layer, we're going to go for 17. We're going to have that there, like so. And naturally this right there. And then this is the seam that I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to deal with. So for right now, we know we need that seam and that seam, and it may seem unseemly, but we'll need this seam too. I think I'm funny. And we're just going to do a quick test on this one by doing this. We have in my guy artist directory, we have shared resources, and I have random things that I have gotten over the years. Like this is just a hex grid. That's all it is. Hit all and copy, paste it, right? And what this will do is, give me the ability to at least see where the hexes are going, right? How badly mangled will these hexes be, right? Where are they going to end up? I can already tell some of it's going to be screwed up right here, and we know some of it's going to be screwed up there. But how wide will they look in the front? Will they look really big and then, like really narrow? What's going to be the story? So this is going to end up being our first save, and we know it's going to be bridge shell, and this is going to be some work. Shell 1. Okay, so we call it bridge shell 1. We go in here. We already did the export for DS, so we're going to say, as we usually do, import. I'm going to take that bridge shell, import. It wants to know what our setups are. This looks just fine to me. We take the bridge shell, which is now here, in general. We remember we have it at 10,000. Work. So that's the size of the bridge shell. Where did it go? I don't see it. Wow. What I also don't see is the shell. That's the weirdest glitch I've seen in a while. That's a camera. That's why. Make the camera the right size. Okay, back to the parameters. That's not a glitch. It was me being dense. 10,000. Bridge shell. Okay. And we don't need to do that, but we do need rotate 180. That'll flip it around the correct direction. It should just snap right into place, right? I mean, that looks perfect right there. And it pops right in on top of the shell. Like that. Perfect. Surfaces will take the bridge shell. First of all, I don't know why it's defaulting to this kind of slightly gray, but hey, whatever. Bridge shell 1, we'll put that on there and just take a look at what it says. Okay. That's specular. What is this with me? I am totally into the idea of just not seeing it. There we go. All right. Now, looking from the point of view of the camera, actually, it's not bad. It's really not. I thought it would be far worse. Even up here where it's kind of funky, it didn't turn out as bad. I do like some of these guys, though. Look at that. So, and it gets bunched up right here. Really bunched up right there. But for the most part, it's not bad. I mean, considering that we knew this was going to be a problem child, and it's not an easy shell to mask, it actually didn't turn out bad. I'm not unhappy. I mean, we're going to have to work on it. We're going to have to mess with it some to make it work, but I think we might be okay. So, good. The bridge shell itself, the hexagons, this is a hex grid that was built for was something I bought at Michael's or something. It was just a sheet of paper with hexes all over, and I like that. I'll scan that in. But as you can see, I mean, like clearly see like through here, it's not it wasn't a thinly, nicely rendered hex grid. So it's good for testing purposes, but it's not good for a final product. So we'll have to do something about that at some point. So that's okay. It's not an issue. Okay. Well, guys, I feel like we've got ourselves a bridge, or at least the beginnings of a bridge. Can't tell if he just needs to be lower. Maybe he needs to be lower. He needs to be lower. That's a problem. It feels kind of like he needs to be. Oh, that was bad. Why scale? Why not scale? I think I'm clever. Settle it down and seal it. There we go. Okay. We've done a pretty good job today, guys. Look at that. Have a shell up going kind of for it here. Half the shell is going. We've got our struts kind of going down here on the bridge. The bridge is starting to come along nicely. Like I said, there's multiple things we can do at this point. We're not going to worry about it too terrible much. So here's what we're doing. We're going to, the next big steps for us are going to be trying to get the chairs in and the consoles. There are a few other little things that we need to put in there. She needs a little teeny bookshelf that lives just to the right and behind her, which is where her captain's log sits and stuff like that. And I know you're like, huh? Because part of the charm of Bellatrix Rising that I'm actually liking is the fact that they have to go old school when they're in warp. So she actually has a physical book that she pulls out, flips to a page, starts writing captain's log. This is my log. I hate this day. This was a sucky day, or whatever. But that's part of the charm of Bellatrix Rising. But it also means that she needs a bookshelf. So she's going to have to need a little bookshelf that goes right behind her there, where she's going to place the logs and stuff like that. And then she's going to need the desks that we used to use for the school desks, and a little desk that slides over her chair. So you just slide there and just put the book down, start writing, and then she'll be sitting there writing with her legs crossed and just captain's log, stardate 4433.6. I hate writing stuff. It's irritating. So there, that's that. Ninny boo boo. Okay. So we've gotten to a good stage here on this one. There are a few things that I kind of feel like need to be done. I would like to do thinner lines on that back wall. I'd like to do some thinner lines on everything a little bit up in that middle section. The floor has got the right size of lines. So I feel like the rest of it's a little thick. So we're going to have to thin down the lines a little, which is fine. So that's what we will be doing as time goes on. Just little adjustments like that will be fine. So other than that, I think we're ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and head out and go do my little walk and maybe go to lunch or something like that. So I'll see you all tomorrow. It's Wednesday, and I think we will have Pepper with us. I'm not 100% sure, though. So we'll have to see. So, okay, there you go, guys. That's all we've got for today. I will see you all tomorrow. And remember, keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye. Computer, good night.